Do you want to start that over? We're early enough in the podcast, so we can still start that over.
I'm sure we have an intro for this. Don't we have like a script for this? Greetings, Rommies. You're listening to WromComms, the podcast bringing you the joy of sim racing every month. My name is Ike, but I'm not going to be the host. Cert is going to be the host. He just can't get his words out today.
Greetings, Romy. You're listening to WromComms, the podcast sharing the joy of sim racing and motorsports made by the WromRom team. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. I am Serta, and I'll be the host today. What do we have to talk about today?
Serta and I attended Sim Formula Europe. We get to talk about that.
I built a new rig. It's
Yay!
over here. It's really cool. I want to talk about it. I also, secondary topic, if you're watching and not just listening, I have new lights, so I look a lot better, and a new camera, so I look a lot better, so yay.
That's subject to opinion.
And I want to talk about what I call the miserable Assetto Corsa Evo launch.
Yeah.
Sim Formula Europe. Cody, you said you had some questions, or shall we let Ike go ahead?
Let's go ahead and dive in,
Okay.
because I have thoughts as an outside observer. Real quick context: they went, I didn't. I stayed home. I did not take the big trip over, and opted to instead spend that money on obviously the rig. So, yeah, y'all go ahead and talk about your experience.
Cool. Sim Formula Europe is, I believe, this is now the second year, because we were there.
No, it's
last year, and that was
even the third
Is
year.
it the
Remember
third year?
that we had
It's the third year. I have been back from skiing for a week, and my brain I have still not recovered. So nothing exists at the moment. It's all a little bit fluid. Third year of Sim Formula Europe. Once again, pairing with the International Car Show that sits alongside it. This time, a couple of changes that they made to the way that it was laid out. Obviously, didn't impact us at all. But for those who might be attending, you needed to buy your own ticket to get into the Sim Formula Europe, which has its upsides and downsides. We also noticed that while there was some really, really cool displays and there was a lot of interesting stuff going on, especially around Marcel Offerman's The Last Garage, which has now had another year's worth of development put into it, it was a different atmosphere. The summation of it is that after last year, it was a very different experience, because last year we had a load of new stuff. There was people bringing things to market. It was all very new, and I believe biggest unique selling point of Sim Formula Europe was it was free to enter. It was attached to the Intermarché. Nope, that's something different.
Interclassics, like this
Interclassics, that's the one. Yep. Again, I've been in France, so I know Intermarché is one of their supermarkets. That's what it got me. Into something. So the International Classics show that it was paired alongside. If you bought a Sim Formula Europe ticket, you got entry to the Interclassics, if I remember correctly, or was it just two separate events that happened?
I think you had to pay €2 more, and then you could go to the Interclassics. But
that was it.
For
it was
intents and
something along
purposes.
those lines. Yeah, it was a really, really odd, let's say, odd way of having it set up. I would be interested to know how that changed the metrics of the event, how many people through the doors, that sort of thing. But the expo, while laid out, I think, a bit better than it was last time, because last time it was literally just set up in the hallways between all the other car shows. There wasn't as much on display.
By far.
Linked to what Cody's no doubt going to say about them having it the event the same weekend as ACC launched.
AC Evo. ACC launched
AC Evo,
a while
ACE,
ago.
ACE, grief. Yeah, the same weekend that ACE launched its early access program, it becomes I believe there may be some questions asked in the lieu of the event. Nope, that's also the wrong phrasing. Anyway,
I would imagine that they probably had it scheduled before ACE
For sure. For sure.
scheduled their
100%.
launch.
Yeah,
Because the ACE launch got moved around a couple of times.
Yes,
Or at least pushed
absolutely.
back.
Yeah.
But
that's a good
yeah, but simultaneously, I think that was just a case of poor timing. That is what it was. There's not a lot that either party could really do about that. What strikes me as most interesting about that was that there was no sign of AC Evo on the shop floor, which I found very surprising. Because
yes and no. But we're gonna talk about that on the AC Evo segment. I do know that while it was on on some of the stands of the exhibitors at the Sim Racing Expo, the exhibitors had some severe limitations on what they were allowed to show and how they could show that. For example, you did not see AC Evo on triple screens anywhere at all at the Sim Racing Expo, and that was not because the exhibitors did not want to use triple screens.
Yeah.
So that was one of the limitations.
But Sim Formula Europe, it was a public release.
Yeah, but do you want to have the public release on the day on the first day of the Sim Racing Evo on your system, trying to get it to work? No, you don't.
Yes, it's exactly the same experience as everybody else is going to have anyway.
Yeah,
regardless.
But you're trying to sell your hardware or whatever system you have. So you want to have it on a system that you know works, and not try to get things to work while you are at the exhibition. Like normally these systems that you then set up at the exhibition have been tried and tested weeks before the exhibition. Then you put everything together and you ship it and you pull it out. And of course, because Murphy exists, some things are not going to work. But if you're not sure if those things that are not working because the software just came out, and you don't know if the software is really supporting that or if it's a bug, because software has bugs, then you are screwed doubly. If you know, hey, everything worked at home, why isn't it working here? Okay, let's see, software works, telemetry works. Where do I have a cable wrong or whatever? Then it's much easier to get your thing to work. So of course nobody had Assetto Corsa Evo there set up.
The thing is that everybody has their demos already set up. Like everyone has their demos from the previous from previous sims, from SRE, from last year's SFE. So to have AC Evo on the PC, and let's see if we can make a usable demo out of it, give it half an hour. No, we can't. Okay, whatever. Like that is
you're thinking like a sim racer and not like a company that within their marketing wants to show what their hardware can do.
Oh yeah,
like,
no.
The one thing, Cody, I don't know if you got that from our videos, but one very interesting thing that they had there, for example, was SimuCube and Marcel from The Last Garage had worked together. And they had the Active Pros and The Last Garage in a version that had the brakes on the car getting too hot quite fast. And therefore, the active pros were simulating the change in braking and the change in you having to work with the pedal from the brakes being cold to the brakes being too hot. And
It was very good.
Yeah, that was a proof of
It was
concept
really cool.
for both. And I'm pretty sure that they worked for months to get it there, and to get it working right. And that's what you do. If you want to do marketing, you do a proof of concept in a special. So they had one rig where they had that, and people were able to test that, and it was incredibly cool. It was a fantastic idea, showing what the Active Pros can do and what the telemetry of the last garage is going to bring. So it was a fantastic idea, but that was. While it's not even a beta, the last garage, that was done in steady conversation with Marcel, and seeing to it that everything worked, and they had everything working before it went to the Sim Formula Europe. So you'd like, as a sim racer, you'd like to see the newest shiniest thing there, and everybody showing the newest shiniest thing. As an exhibitor, as somebody who does marketing, you want to be sure that you can show your hardware or whatever you're selling in the best light possible. And for
no
one,
surprises.
you use exactly.
Okay.
For one, you use Assetto Corsa Competizione or Assetto Corsa, like IMSIM, for example, does. And for the other, you've been talking with Marcel for months, and you can show a proof of concept that it's incredibly cool.
Okay, but the exhibitors at SRE were given zero notice as to whether they would get access to ACE.
No.
And yet they did it anyway.
No, the only ones who got AC Evo, so to speak, on the day of the expo were IMSIM. Yep. All others had gotten access to that long. Well, I talked to the exhibitors who had them, two of them.
Yeah.
And yes, they told
there were
me that
seven that got it on the day.
Yeah. They got the software on the day, but they had been testing previous versions already with their system. So it's not as if they got it on the day and they had not been able to do anything with it. They got it.
That was my understanding from what I got speaking to other YouTubers, let's say.
Okay, so I spoke to the people directly. I spoke to a couple of the exhibitors, and I'm not naming any names just in case. No, who said that they had been testing that, and the version that they got at the Sim Racing Expo was the newest demo version that Kunos could produce, but they had already preliminary versions to be able to have it working. So what they showed there, while that specific version was new, being able to use Assetto Corsa Evo with their hardware was something that they had been testing already. Not IMSIM. IMSIM got it on the second day of the expo, exactly. because Masaruto was so impressed with the Gara.
Yes. But again, that's what I mean, is that there was a missed opportunity, is what I'm saying, for as far as the exhibitors were concerned. Actually, no, that's entirely wrong. Didn't they release on the Friday night?
No, Thursday night.
Yeah,
Thursday.
It was,
they could have had it running on Friday. Yeah, as I say, all I was saying is it was a missed opportunity for at least one of the exhibitors to have a very unique selling point for people to come over to their stand, because you could have one rig. SimLab would have been a perfect candidate for it, because they are selling in the very nicest way, very versatile and general sim racing kit, which is it's not like the active pedal where it needs all of the back end work. It's a load cell that outputs a 0 to 1 data, etc., right? So they could have had their 2 rigs set up, one on, I think they had iRacing on both of their rigs. They could have had iRacing on one and Assetto Corsa Evo on the other. They have the same pedals. They have they have the same shifter. They have similar wheels and wheelbases, obviously. So you could do a direct apples to apples comparison, not only of how their hardware handles in the software. You can go for a well-known, well-documented, well-established software iRacing, and this brand new out-of-the-box software Assetto Corsa Evo, and compare how SimLab's hardware works, for example. As I say, it was a missed opportunity from my perspective. Again, I speak as someone who thrives on being able to take stuff apart and fix it. So there is
marketing doesn't want to fix on the same day.
Yes, but
I think very few people want to fix on the same day.
I have no problem with that. I've had to fix it on the same day whilst hosting live streaming, whilst hosting tournaments live. So,
and wouldn't it be great if you didn't? Didn't have to.
I got paid. I don't care. One way or another, the job gets done. But again, but then this plays into precisely what this will come back to with Assetto Corsa Evo anyway. But my perspective, my opinion on Sim Formula Europe was there was clearly a lot of passion for the people that were there. There just weren't as many people there, basically.
So one thing that we should also say is we were there on the Thursday and Friday. The
Sorry,
Thursday,
I meant as exhibitors. That's all.
The Thursday is more of the press day. They say, but it was open to everyone. And of course, on the Thursday there was not much going on. And the Friday was also quite subdued. I don't know how Saturday and Sunday were, but I agree with you that compared to last year's, it was more subdued, less people, at least from what we saw, less people looking at. And I liked last year's setup better, where different companies had their own rooms. Like you had Rouge in a room, you had Cube Controls in a room, you had SimoCube in a room. So you could enter the room, and it was, I think it was friendlier. There was nobody in a room by themselves. It was, the layout was not set up that way.
It was last year it was set up very much with the understanding, perhaps, that we were there to have conversations. I think Serta, you said when we were there, like, SFE is a really, really good place to have actual conversations that you can follow up with at SRE. So you have all of the background information and knowledge. It's the enthusiasts expo, if that makes sense. I think that was a very, very good way of surmising it. We lost a lot of that this year by virtue of it being, again, very linearly set up. Unless you watch our video where we do a tour with Marcel Offermans, and you'll be able to see how it was set up. It wasn't set up like an expo. It was set up like only like SFE. I've only ever seen SFE set up like that. But having to pay for entrance would sour that experience. With that context, it's a difficult one. It's a peculiar one, really peculiar.
And one thing that I personally didn't like was there was a lot of companies that were listed as exhibitors, and they were only there through resellers. That's not an exhibitor.
Yeah.
Like Pimax,
Yeah.
for example, was not there.
Nope.
There was a reseller
No.
for Pimax that was there.
Oh, and there's a story to that. You're going to like this, Cody. So,
Wait, give me a sec. Thrustmaster
Hey,
was
go,
not
yeah,
there.
yeah.
There was a reseller
No.
for
There a
Thrustmaster
reseller.
that was there, and so on. Go ahead, Ike.
cool. Right. So, Assetto Corsa weren't there. They were just there with Marcel. And to be fair, they were supplying hardware for the competition. So, again, really good back and forth between hardware and software. We can preach the goodness of that. But so, you know how good my joints are. You know how good my legs are.
Sure.
Not
great.
The
Horrible.
Pimax.
Terrible.
The Pimax. Yes, that's
Decrepit.
Exactly. Decrepit is the word. Decrepit is how I felt this week after going snowboarding for a week. That was a mistake. But the Pimax banner was right by a set of stairs.
Mm-hmm.
So Sursa and I were like, is it all on one level? Is there more than one level? Maybe we should go and have a look. So we went upstairs, and there's nothing.
Nothing at all, or nothing
there-
Pimax?
No, nothing at
Nothing.
all. It was,
It
all
was
on,
empty.
It was all on one level. Yeah, it was all on one level, and the only thing that was upstairs is a couple of the poor people at that actually worked for the.
You
for
better
the
finish that sentence.
exhibition place. Sorry.
Okay.
The work for the exhibition place. They were making coffee and just kind of looked at us walking past, going, "What the hell are they doing here?"
Yep.
That's funny.
Like, dude, we're lost. We don't know where the hell we're going. So, yeah, had to go upstairs and downstairs, managed to find the media centre, and they gave us free coffee, which was very much needed, and a sit down.
Nice.
But yeah, it was a really peculiar couple of days. I don't think it would have changed over the weekend with more people either. It would have just been more complicated to have decent conversations. And again, to be fair, SFE did its job. We had really good conversations with every single company that was there in the 2 days that we were there. We managed to we had a load of time with Marcel, which again, you know me, that's just absolute manna from heaven as far as how to spend a day.
Marcel Offerman from The Last Garage.
Yes,
Correct.
absolutely.
Yep.
And we had a lot of, obviously, we also had access to the Interclassics, so we were able to make you very, very, very jealous, which was very. Which was I reckon, I still think we achieved quite a lot in those 2 days, primarily above all else, making you extremely jealous that you hadn't come.
And on the Tuesday, which is going to be last Tuesday when we publish the podcast, but for us recording this before, on this Tuesday, we're going to publish the video about what IMSIM did at the Interclassics, letting you drive, what was it, a Ferrari 250 GT? Was
250
it?
GT.
I think
yeah.
that was it, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That
yummy.
was incredibly good fun.
Yeah.
I did what I always do and drifted a car that shouldn't be drifted.
Well, okay. Those cars, those 60s GT cars, and I can say this because I mostly drive those in Assetto Corsa, and IMSIM usually runs Assetto Corsa, so I'll bet it was that. Those cars, if you're going fast, you're sliding those things around.
Oh,
corners.
sick. Cool. I was driving it properly. Cool.
Yeah.
I thought
yeah.
I was doing
those.
I thought
Especially those 60s tires, like there is a level of slip angle, probably about 15%
yes.
of just sliding it around. That is
Yes.
the fastest way to go
It's
around
great.
the track.
It's
in
so
those
much
cars.
fun. I have no notes. We need to go back to that time.
Yeah. You had
15
fun in
degrees
Assetto Corsa, is what you did.
I did. It only took a £13,000 piece of kit for me to have fun in Assetto Corsa.
I think the total cost of especially that rig that they had there was €70,000
That's it. Yeah.
because they had a
It
special
was.
seat.
No. Okay.
They had
Right,
a
yeah.
special wheel. It was not the standard Gara, which costs about 50,000. It was a Gara with some special things done around, and they had taken the mod for the 250 GT and changed things in the code, so that also cost a little bit of time and therefore money and so on. So I think that cost around 70,000.
Yeah, it was, but again, at that point, it's not right. And this brings us on to another couple of points that came out from SFE, and that was, if you're looking at a Ferrari 250 GT and going, yeah, I can afford that, then what is £70,000 for a Gara? Like, it's a different audience. It's a different type of customer. And one of the guys from ImSims said, we should all be in there. Because
we should all be rich, or
No. Because, well, no, you think, for example, the SimLab and not SimLab, SimRep with the projects they have going on, they would have a customer base in the Interclassics. Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Because
if you're bringing the 250 GTO, you can I got you.
If you said to the average sim racer, no offense, average sim racers, but if you said to the average sim racer £10,000 for a genuine Cosworth wheel, they'd be like, "It's no, I don't have that kind of money." But if you said that to someone who's looking to buy a Nissan N89C, yes, one of those, or a Porsche 962, was the Nissan
the one for 250,000 euro?
No, that one had sold by the time we got there.
Not to us.
Hang on, you're naming a car that does not exist. N89C. You mean R89C?
R89C.
The Group C car?
Yes, it's been a long couple of weeks. Okay, I got one letter wrong. Good. I'll be happy. Yeah, the
all
R89C
good.
is what I want. Yeah, was that the one with or without the skirts? That's with the skirts, isn't it?
I gotta look it up.
You're fine. That's what I'm doing.
While you're searching, I'd like to take the opportunity to tell people that we published a lot of photos of the wonderful Interclassics cars in our Discord. So go and join that.
Yay, reasonable call to action. Comment below or wherever you can comment if you didn't know we have a Discord. Because that's a thing that has been commented a few times. And yes, it's where we hang out, and if you are a patron of Bronze or higher or are a YouTube member, you can listen to us and all of our shenanigans while Cody tries to get his setup working again for an hour, and ask questions and hang out with us.
But don't I look good?
Don't I look really good, pretty, Cody?
Don't I look so good, Ike?
You look an hour's worth of setup.
Is that makeup or is it just good camera work?
Yeah, I was gonna say this is just like the women in our lives getting ready. That's you can deal with them. You can deal with me.
Don't. My partner got ready for work in 10 minutes the other day, and I was like, "Why can't you do this normally?"
I'm not getting in the way of that one. I'm not getting in that conversation.
Don't worry. I got in trouble for that. No drama. But yeah, the like if you're queuing up to buy a 962, like the actual. If you're buying Group C cars, and cars that are worth literally £500,000 plus pounds and euros,
plus,
easily plus. There were Mercedes SLs that had 7-figure price tags on them. I was like, I'm just going to go nowhere near that, just in case I accidentally trip.
They had open wheelers from 1918, if I remember correctly. Was it a Bentley or what was it?
Good. It was one of them was the Bentley tank car, yes, with the Spitfire engine in it. They also had the old Mercedes Grand Prix car, the stupid one. But yes, Cody, they had a Speed 8.
Oh, nice. Nice. That's cool.
I very nearly just keeled over and passed out because wow, what a car! Oh my god. Anyway.
So there was another car that I saw. I didn't see it in any of the photos you guys took, but I watched Lawrence de Sosa's live stream, and he went through and nerded out about cars with a camera exactly how I would have if I were there. Yep. There was a Stutz Blackhawk sedan. Sedan.
Yeah. Yep.
And it was the it was some kind of name. It had custom coach work, but anyways, it was one of one. They only made like a small handful of sedans, sedan Stutz Blackhawks, and there is only one that has that bodywork, and it is the prettiest one. It is, I would say, it's the most sought after one, but it failed to sell at auction a few years ago, so I don't think it met reserve. But I thought that was the coolest thing there because all of the other things there. So there were some super rare, amazing, mostly one of a kind cars, but that one is one of a kind, and it is so rare that like, and it's so obscure. Like if you oh man. It's one of those things where if you don't know, it's just like, wow, that's another cool car. But if you know,
yeah.
It's like that's cool. That's cool.
Although
I wouldn't want to drive it, but I'd love to be driven in it.
One of the other cars that I very much melted over was the original Spiker.
Yeah,
C8.
like the C8.
Yeah. They did another one?
The La Violette?
No. They did
C12.
a C8. The C12.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
I didn't know they did a C12. I got to look at Mercedes V12. It was very pretty. And I got to sit in it. I was like,
that's cool.
I don't want to move now.
That's cool.
Yes, it was.
But I think.
But anyway, the point is, yeah.
I think one of the reasons why they didn't mix everything is because most of the sim racing exhibitors have the sims on loudspeakers, and that would have been too loud for the crowd and for the interclassics. So they would.
But you can literally put sound deadening curtains around the sim racing areas, and that would.
And then you'd have a bunch of walls.
Exactly.
Then you might as well put it somewhere else at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they had those anyway.
Huh? No.
They had there were a load of like setup booths and things that you couldn't see past. Loads of them.
No.
It was, yeah. In the main hall, I counted about 10 booths that were straight up set up Thrustmaster from SRE style that you couldn't see and you couldn't see around.
Yeah. Don't remember looking
and then if you went
seeing those, but my eyes were on the cars.
Yeah, and obviously. And then if you went, that was one of the things that because I was looking at the cars and then looking across at what other cars were coming up. And it was like, well, I can't see very far, so I may as well just focus on the cars that are here. But in the sub hall as well that they had, because it wasn't just one big hall, it was 2 halls. There was another like 5 or 6 full setup booths that you couldn't see past, and behind one of them was a 22B, which I was very upset that I didn't see it on when I first walked in, because it was a beautiful pearlescent blue.
And that's another one of those that, like, if you know, you know.
Yes. It's very, very nice. But yeah, no. As I say, I appreciate I appreciate the reasoning, but it's not an insurmountable goal to essentially set a decibel limit for your for the exhibitors, and then say, look, rather than having you off to the side, we're just going to include you in the full Interclassics, and you are now part of the Interclassics show. Hopefully, the people who make the decisions get to see it, get to see this, and take it under advisement. Because I think that there's a lot of crossover between the people who are shopping for cars, actually genuinely at that show shopping for cars, and could make genuine use of 3 Simucube pedals on a Gara.
Cody, any pointers or any questions from you?
So, one of the things, I guess, going back to the ACE launch and Sim Racing Expo, not Sim Racing Expo, Sim Formula Europe, I was surprised because of the launch. I suppose I was surprised how many other sim racing creators besides us stayed home, and instead were there for the launch of AC Evo, instead of going to Sim Formula Europe. That kind of surprised me. I think last year there were more creators there, and there were some creators there. Lawrence de Sosa, of course, was there. But then after, I think, like day 2, he hurried home, and then was also, working on AC Evo content. And that probably ended up being the right move, because everyone who stayed home from Sim Formula Europe sat there for like half a day because they were late on releasing the game. You guys might not have seen this whenever it happened, but AC Evo had a countdown timer on Steam, and so a bunch of streamers,
0, 1,
Jimmy Broadbent and all the others, they were like live streaming. I remember watching Gamer Muscle start his stream. I was up late doing something or another. It was 3 a.m. I think I couldn't sleep because I was still recovering from surgery. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I was up late, couldn't sleep, whatever. I think I'd spent the whole day sleeping, and so I was watching Gamer Muscle stream, and the countdown was going, and then the countdown went, and then it was just like releasing soon or whatever. And it was several hours after they had said that it was going to release that it actually became available to download.
That's strange, because the way I know that Steam works is they get the software package, and then they distribute it geographically to the different
hubs,
hubs, exactly, that they have. So they normally have the software days in advance so that they can distribute it without any issue. So that sounds really like an incredible mess up.
I don't know anything about the back end, or if that was an issue, but obviously something didn't get hit in terms of launch, send, go. And so there were a bunch of streamers who were just sitting around waiting for a while during the launch, and it was like Sim Formula Europe was going on, and the creators who went were filming and meeting people and doing all that. Y'all were doing all of that, and at the same time there were a bunch of streamers sitting on stream going, all right, anytime now.
Oh, bother.
I would have given up and started playing RF2.
Yeah.
Screw it. Dailies, let's go. Man.
But yeah. But that does bring me to the AC Evo stuff and kind of my experience. So I guess this is probably a good time to lead into that topic. Sort of.
All right. Okay. So as I said in the intro, I considered it a miserable launch. And you may have a different take, Ike, as you told me, but and I've said that already in the news. one of the central points, one of the fundamental points of Assetto Corsa Evo is being online, doing the academy, being able to buy cars, customize cars, being able to do the races and then climb up the experience and the money and all that. So this was one of the things that they said, okay, so you're not going to have mods, you're not going to have multiplayer on release on early access, you're not going to have roaming around and so on, but you will have this academy experience, this online experience, this way of starting your career, let's put it this way. And they didn't. The online servers did not work, and they did not work for 3 weeks. Only this week have then, or for those watching last week, have they been able to set up the server so that you can you can be online, buy a car, do the academy, and even so, I did some tests a couple of days. It's buggy as heck. So if your central fundamental thing isn't working, you have done something utterly wrong. The graphics don't work 100%, given it's early access. VR
And the graphics
works,
are really pretty, though, I will say.
Yeah.
They look amazing.
VR works, although I had a lot of crashes of the game using VR, which I didn't have with Pancake. Given it's early access, like I accept that it's an early access software that has bugs and that those bugs are there and will be eliminated in time. No problem at all. Even the force feedback, which I consider horrendous, no problem at all. The force feedback of Automobilista 2, when it came out on even on public, was not good. It's become excellent with time. Automobilista 2 is 5 years old now. All that, okay, but you are at the end of the day, your unique selling point is you can do your career, you will be gaining access to different cars through time, through doing the academy, through racing. And that does not work. That's an experience that I cannot have. If I would not be buying Assetto Corsa Evo because we are a sim racing channel and we want to see what is happening, I would have given it back. I would have said, give me my money back. This is not worth it. That, in my opinion, is the miserable launch. Like everything else, hey, it's early access. While I don't agree with the way many companies see early access, graphics are not 100%, VR is not 100%, force feedback is not 100%, whatever. But something that you have promised that will be there on early access, that is the fundament, the basic, the core of what you're doing, and you need 3 weeks after launch to get it running, you messed up royally.
Did you know ACC multiplayer servers weren't working for a month before after early access launch?
Sure.
You know,
but they never promised multiplayer. They never promised multiplayer at launch.
They did in ACC.
No, they had only one car and one track on early access launch.
Yeah, the whole point of the game was to race online in a safe and cheat-free environment.
So you're making my point, because that means that in the years since then, they haven't learned how to set up a server.
Yes, but it's not a miserable, catastrophic launch. It's just how launches go with Kunos. That's not catastrophic. This is on par. In the same way that LMU, in the same way that I have issues with the way LMU launched.
Oh, absolutely.
This is the reason why I just haven't bothered. I don't.
I have a question.
Of course.
ACC, you play it
Yes.
far more than I do. How would
yeah.
you rate the AI single player offline racing?
Shit.
Not great. Okay.
It's not good. There's a reason why I drive online with people who can decide they want to take me out, because it's safer.
Yeah,
So that
true. The AI of ACC does take you out.
I think that Kunos as a company might just not know how to do AI at all.
Can very well be.
Because in AC, like everything else that was a problem with AC, either they were able to fix it or the community was able to fix it.
There we go.
One of the two, except for AI.
Yep.
AI is, patched into the game is one of the hardest things to like fix on your own.
But doesn't
CSP
Ilias exactly
has some tweaks.
Yes.
However, the core logic of the AI is a spline based. So you have a fast lane that goes around the track, and then you have an inner bound and an outer bound. And so the AI will try to follow the fast lane as best as they can, and then they will try to never go beyond the inner and outer bound. And that's basically all the logic required.
Yes.
Of course, you have to have the AI to follow through that, but you have that line for all the tracks, and then it goes through. And that is the way they've done it in AC. That is the way that they've done it, as far as I'm aware, in ACC. It is not the way that most modern sims have gone. AMS2 and other newer simulators have an AI that is pathfinding based. It has its own logic. There was a lot of talk around Gran Turismo 7's Sophie AI that is smart and learns and can learn based on other drivers. And that is a much newer thing where it is actually using a complex logic system to navigate around the track, as opposed to just trying to follow a preset line. And so that is, as a much newer standard, you're able to put down wet line or a wet surface, and it'll find the fastest way through the surface. It'll go through, it'll try something, and it'll learn. And you can't really do that as well with a spline based.
The Automobilista 2 AI even has different personalities. So the different drivers, the AI drivers, have different characteristics. There's somebody who is more aggressive. There's somebody who's more secure. There's somebody who drives better. There's somebody who drives less good. There's some who drive better on wet. There's some who drive better on dry. So they have taken some traits and given them some variability and therefore some driver personality.
And the original Assetto Corsa does that to a degree as well, where it has an aggressiveness setting and it has a skill level. Usually you have to set it pretty high, but there's a little slider, at least in Content Manager. I think it was also a thing that you could kind of cheese in the original launcher.
Yes, in the original launcher you can do it as well.
Yeah. So you can make kind of a variation of aggressiveness and a variation of skill. And so, it did have those, but it's not on the same level. And anything that's spline based is not going to be to the level of that modern AI can give you. And it feels weird talking about AI, but spline based AI pathfinding has been in games for 30 plus years. It's not a new thing. And specifically, I'd say it's an old thing. And AC Evo has some of the worst spline-based implementation that I have ever seen for AI in a racing game. They are twitchy. They do not know what they're doing. It's like permanently racing with a bunch of 15-year-olds. It's something. Only the difference is 15-year-old sim racers can be good.
Yes.
Yeah.
As I say, the this is one of the things that has frustrated me ever since AC Evo was announced. Was everyone's been looking at it like it's the second coming of Christ in sim racing, and my experience with Kunos as a lowly pleb who just sim races using their simulator is that they mostly know what they're doing sometimes, but they aren't anywhere near as skilled as the community, let's say the sim racing community at large, gives them credit for. Assetto Corsa is as good as it is because of the community, as you both said. ACC is only good, or has only been kept alive for so long, because of LFM and pit skill and the other services. The other services that allow you to actually browse communities and championships and pick one that you like and drive those cars and tracks.
And a million plus mods.
Well, not ACC,
with
but yeah.
with ACC.
Oh,
with
AC.
ACC.
ACC.
No, as I say, no.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about the original AC.
No. AC is
lost.
kept alive entirely by the community. Through mods, through communities, through an entirely different launcher, for goodness sake. Like, that's how poor Assetto Corsa is in its original form. Is that they just went, well, screw this UI, we can go straight to track, so we're just going to make a whole new launcher. It's easier for us to make a new launcher than it is to try and make something work in the original launcher. That's
So
how
to be
bad
told
it
that's
is.
something that R Factor 2 would have profited of also.
No, R Factor 2 functioned. Like, it wasn't pretty, but it worked.
No, getting into a race was a pain in the lower region. It's much better now with the new UI, but with the old UI, it was an incredible pain.
And God forbid if you wanted to set up anything multi-class.
And don't get me started with setting up a server for R Factor 2, because that's
hell. No, that's hell. That's totally fair. No, setting up a server in R Factor 2 is actually hell. So that's no. I'll grant that one. But again, that's the point is that Kunos have a track record of lackluster, let's say, final products, and very much relying on the passion of sim racers who care about the success of the company far too much to let it fail, basically. As I think I've said on this podcast before, if RF2 had been given the kind of attention that Assetto Corsa got, we would be having a very, very different conversation, because at its core, it's a much better physics system. So if you built around a much better physics system, anyway, that's the monthly RF2 rant. But the point very much is that Kunos aren't all that great. I would argue there are several sim racing developers that do better and can do better. This launch of AC is not a surprise to me at all. This was how I expected it to go. This is not a miserable launch. It's not a tragic launch. It's not a mistake. This is how it was always going to go.
So I don't measure quality by saying, oh, it tasted like shit before. Now it tastes like a little bit less of shit. I measure it by, does it taste good or not?
Yeah.
So
yeah. But again, it's not been a miserable launch. It has been a Kunos launch. So
I think if you're of a certain opinion about Kunos, then that would shape that. But objectively, things did work and things didn't work.
Yeah. game
and
launched.
those can be measured. I think that we proved that it has a long way to go, but it came out in early access, and so I think that the bones of it are good. I think that like I said and went at length about the AI system that they've decided to implement, at least as of now, is disappointing. But they're still making edits. This is a brand new game engine that they've made, and so it could very well be that
Technical issues day.
Serta's logo is going nuts in the
Yay!
background there.
Ooh, that's fair enough. Anyway, carry on, Cody.
But yeah, there's it could very well be that they're in the background trying to train an AI neural network that works better than Serta's monitor.
Yeah.
Audio listeners, there's a WromComms logo on Serta's display in the background, and that screen has decided to just start flashing on and off over and over again right behind him. And Serta is currently crawling on the floor like a baby to try to fix it.
Blame my
monitor.
cat.
Huh. Oh.
Blame my cat. She climbed onto the computer and started messing things up.
There's a reason why my computer's on my desk.
Can you crawl on the floor like a baby for me? It would be so beautiful.
No, go away. Stop this.
It's so beautiful.
Quick, talk over Cody. Someone's going to clip that.
It's a David Lynch reference.
I know that's the problem.
R.I.P. to the greatest, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, God, that was It's been a rough couple of years, hasn't it?
No kidding.
I take on board what you're saying about it tasting like if it looks like shit and tastes like shit, etc. But the issue is that everybody is surprised when they shouldn't be. That's where
I never said I was surprised. I said that it's a fact that the launch was bad.
Oh yeah, it's a tragic launch, but Kunos always launched tragically. This is standard. This is a standard issue for Kunos.
So you're saying they're going to?
But I mean, they always launch early access.
Yeah,
so
true that. So they're going to write a Klingon opera on the tragic launch of Assetto Corsa Evo. Kapla.
Perfect.
I mean, they've only ignoring Netcar Pro, they've had 3 games, three big main games, and they all started out launching in way early access, and so I think. Has Kunos just done a full launch off rip? No. So I think judging them by the quality of their initial launches is perhaps a bit premature.
Wait. Yeah. I've said very precisely. Graphics are not there yet. VR is not there yet, but they're not bad. But there's things that have to be changed. Force feedback is not there yet. That's everything is early access. Even the AI may be early access. No problem at all with that. I do understand that early access is an open beta, or at least that is what normally is understood as early access. But if you say, let's say I launch a car on early access, and I say, look. The gear changes are not going to be that good. The navigation is not going to be that good. The lights are going to be working intermittently. This is an early access. I'd say, okay. But what Kunos did is they launched a car without tires. And that's not early access. That's messing up your launch.
Yep.
Because the most important thing, the unique selling point for the early access was, hey, you're going to be able to do something similar like you do with some racing games where you buy a car and then you do some races and you do some academy and you start earning experience points and money. And this is going to be there from the get-go, from the day that you start. And they not only have issues with that, but the issues are so big that they need 3 weeks to deliver that they were promising to deliver on day one. 3 weeks.
You know what those 3 weeks. What happened in those 3 weeks? People stopped playing the game, so the servers could probably keep up.
No, because
they probably didn't change anything. They just like nah,
no. They did a closed beta a week into the issues that I was part of, and there it worked mostly, even better than it's working now. It worked mostly, and after that they said thank you very much, and now we think we have found the issue, and they spent a week or so without us being able to access even the open beta, and or at least not online. And after that, they did the 1.5.0, the 0.1.5 that they are now with online. So
see, you say closed beta. I take issue with that because in no less than 5 communities, the same beta code was linked, as well as forwarded from the official Assetto Corsa Discord or something.
Yes,
I can't remember.
yes. So they published it in the official Assetto. Okay, so a reduced beta. Call it whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I was gonna say again. This was another thing that happened while I was in France.
Yeah.
While I was driving. It's one of them. Either way, I got my phone out and was like, "What's this code? Why are you?" Oh, AC Evo's going down the drain. Gotcha. Noted, Claire. Carry on snowboarding. It's all good. But yeah, it was. As I say, I take issue with it being a miserable launch. I think this is a very kudos early access launch. We've seen this at least 3 times. I don't. The bones, as you rightly say, the bones of Assetto Corsa Evo, which is the updated handling and physics, I think are a much better starting point than we ever had in Assetto Corsa Competizione.
From what I can say on the way that about the way that the cars behave, the physics are there. The force feedback is not, but as I said, Automobilista 2 had the same issues. No worries, that's early access, no problems. But the physics are there, absolutely. Yeah.
So that takes me to something.
Yes.
Those who have seen our previous podcasts and have heard me talk about my hype for this game might be a little surprised to learn that I haven't driven it yet.
But yeah,
are you still trying to get LMU working?
No. There's been a good reason for that. So the week before ACE launched, I had surgery on my hand. And just in case you're squeamish, I won't go through all the details of that, but it required some recovery time. And it was on the inside, it was on one of my fingers, and so I have Band-Aids.
He's missing a finger, folks.
Fingers. I'm not missing a finger, folks. I have all of them, including my middle finger, so you know. But it took me about a week until I could actually move my hand at all. I had to keep it basically very, very still while it and so a week after I had my surgery, ACE launched, and I couldn't grab anything with this hand, much less shift anything. I couldn't even
which
turn
screwed
a
out
door
our
handle.
plans for the AC Evo launch because we had
did
planned
a little bit.
You in the States testing AC Evo and we at the Sim Formula Europe. But hey, that's life.
Tis life. But I was thinking that I'd be back going again. They said in 2 weeks that I'd be fully recovered. And after I think it was a week or so, which that week felt like a month. It was a very long week because I couldn't even use a computer mouse. Yep. I could only just sit around the house and do nothing. It was like just one little incision, and it just like debilitated me. It sucked, just because of where that was. And so I did not have use of my main computer hand, which sucked. But anyways, after 2 weeks, they said that I'd be about as good as I was going to be for a little while. It took a little longer than that. It took probably about 2.5, probably closer to 3 weeks. And so right as I was getting to the point where I could start to like bend my hand and grab things without pain, I still had to be careful with it, but just as soon as I could like actually like get use of my hand, the rest of my track racer order came in, which was the last piece that I needed to build my rig.
Nice.
And so I was like, all right, I've been waiting long enough. I can finally use my hand. I'm building this. And so I think that brings me to like last Saturday. Time of recording today is currently, as we're recording this, the 9th. So it was like last Saturday, or I think it came in the Friday before that. But I was like, oh my God, finally. And I Track Racer is not a perfect company. They're far from a perfect company. I've talked about my experience with them. I went 2 weeks without hearing from them after we had been emailing back and forth about something. And so what I ended up doing, let me talk about this for a moment. What I ended up doing was I went to the Track Racer Owners official Facebook group. And I typed an essay.
This is another thing
of
I read.
Yes, I typed a long essay of my experience, and I did not miss a single story beat. Everything was left in. Everything that I sent to them, everything that they sent back to me, a timeline of how long all of that correspondence took. And I was very, very clear about, because where we had last left off, and I think we were in the podcast with I think I talked about this on the podcast, but they had said that. So the main issue here, if you're just tuning in, was I ordered the TR120 track racer rig, and they sent me the TR120 V2, which notably does not have the middle T-slot channel anymore. And I was wanting to mount things to the middle T-slot channel specifically. And so I ordered a TR120 V1 because the TR120 V2 didn't exist when I ordered it. And so a week later, they were like, hey, we're sending your stuff. Here's TR120 V2. And so I messaged them immediately after that, and I was like, hey, I did not order the TR120 V2. I ordered a TR120 V1. I don't know what the V2 is, but I don't want it. I want what I paid for, the TR120 V1. And they said, okay, we'll send you the TR120 V1, or we sent you the TR120 V1 is what they said. And they sent me the V2. And so then they had me send back the V2. They made me pay for the return shipping for the V2, which ended up being about $120. I'm speed running through all of this. And then they're like, well, we'll send you the V1. And time goes by, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And they said, yeah, actually, we don't have any of the V1 left. The U.S. warehouse scrapped all of it. They said they recycled it. And so we'll have to send you the V2. Again. And so I was like, well, hey, you still make like the 3-slot 120 millimeter profile. Can I have some of that? And then they just didn't get back to me. And so I went to the Facebook group, typed out all of that in one big post, posted it, and then their mods removed it. And so I posted it again, just stubborn as I am, and luckily one of the first people to see it was the CEO of Track Racer, who went, oh, hell nah, messaged me and was like, we're going to make this right. I'm going to find you a V1 that still exists. I am going to make sure it sends out tomorrow. I am going to refund you the cost of the return shipping that you had to pay for. I'm going to give you $100 in store credit for your trouble, and I am going to use your story as a lesson to train my staff.
Perfect.
And so, great guy. Talked with him for a little bit. He was very apologetic about all of this and was very clear that, like, this is not how I want my company to be run. This is not going to happen in the future, and I'm going to make sure of that. And so, only a few days after we had that conversation, I got everything that I needed and ordered, and it was all good. So there's the speed run of all of that, and I know that took a long time. Yeah, that was still the speed run of all of that. But now I've gotten to the point where I have everything. I have built everything, and it is all there except for the handbrake, because I bought the wrong kind of handbrake mount for the handbrake that I need. But outside of that, everything is there. It's good to go. It's functional, and it's great. So I've still got to do some like testing of the software, and there's a million things that I'll be tweaking probably for years in terms of force feedback and all of that to get everything all just perfectly dialed in.
You wouldn't be a sim racer if you wouldn't be fiddling forever and ever on your system.
Yes, but it took me all of last weekend building it, and my hand was still kind of recovering, so I was trying to be careful, and I filmed it as well, so that's coming, that's in the works. But because it took me like all of last weekend, a good chunk of like after I got off of work during the week, and then I got everything finished on like Friday evening, like late in the evening. The sun had gone down kind of late in the evening. And then there was still some cables that I didn't have the right lengths of, so we had to Amazon Prime overnight some cables so that I'd have it all ready to go, and I was able to just now drive in a sim at all for the first time in like a month yesterday. And I'm still testing things. So I haven't gotten to drive AC Evo quite yet at all. I've had it. We got copies. I have loaded it up.
I bought us
I've looked
copies
at
from the
everything.
Patreon money. Let's be clear.
Yes,
about that.
yeah.
It's not
So we can
that we got
appreciate
something
you.
from Kunos. We got
No,
that
yeah.
from the Patreon money.
Brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you.
Exactly.
If you're in the U.S. and you grew up watching PBS Kids, you know what I've referenced. But yeah, so I will be driving it. I will probably be driving it not even today, because after this, the Super Bowl is on at the time of recording. And we've got some friends coming over, so we're gonna watch the Super Bowl. What's the Chiefs versus the Eagles? So that'll be fun. Very patriotic names there. Yeah, so I probably won't even have time to do it today. And then tomorrow I'm working, so probably tomorrow evening I will be able to actually drive AC Evo for the first time. Fingers crossed.
And toes.
Setting up
and toes.
Driving with VR is quite easy. Is as easy as it's nowadays with Automobilista too. So that's a plus.
Oh, okay. I don't use VR. I use I use Odyssey V9 so big that it's in my shot.
But you have a VR system.
I have a VR headset. I found that I really didn't like it for sim racing all that much, but for combat flight sims, it is a must-have, so that you can look around and keep track of who you're trying to shoot down and who's trying to shoot you down.
Yeah, if you're looking anywhere other than straightforwards in a sim racing game, it's you're going the wrong way.
Yes, yeah. But
fair.
for combat flight sims,
you're looking at the apexes.
You're very rarely looking just straight on.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Track Racer made it right in the end.
They did make it right in the end.
I just like
it took a while.
I just like the idea of you, Cody, being used as an example. That's the bit that got me. because you put that in the chat, in our private chat, didn't you? I was just like, that sounds so bad. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure there are rules in my primary school that were made because of me, and I'm getting that vibe from that. Again, whilst in France.
Were they made because you were a victim? Because that's the more accurate parallel here.
It's of by no fault of Cody. Let's make that clear.
No,
it's how to not treat people like Cody in the future, which I do believe that was kind of indicative of my middle school experience, where I was used as an example of like, hey, don't treat people like you've treated Cody.
No, when I started in primary school, we didn't have rules about climbing on the school buildings.
Oh, I see. You were the guy, like, rules are either written in blood or because Ike was doing something he shouldn't have. I see.
I like climbing stuff, okay? I like being high up, but I'm scared of heights. Go figure. Yeah. Upper Mountain was very, very nice.
Anyway, James,
but yeah.
I think we are at the end of what we had planned to talk about.
No. You need to talk about AMS2 future.
Oh yeah. Okay.
We need to cover that.
Okay.
Because I've missed this.
For sure. So, in our news that came out on Sunday, I explain what Renato Simeoni himself said. He did an Ask Me Anything on what they call the paddock, part of the forum, which is all those that paid when Automobilista 2 wasn't out even, and paid full price with season pass, or those that about a year ago when Reza offered it, paid, I think it was also 99 euro or something like that, to get full access to whatever comes out from Automobilista 2 until its end of life. So that's the paddock part of the forum. So it's a kind of closed part. Is also where you get access to the betas, even to betas that we do not show you and we do not talk about outside because they are not meant to be spoken about. They are the beta branch that you can choose is even called not for media. So like really in big letters, like each and everyone should know that you should not publish that. So on that place, he did an Ask Me Everything and said, hey, do you have any questions about Automobilista 2 and the future of Automobilista 2 and so on?
Give us driver swaps.
And exactly, that was one of the questions, for sure. And as you already asked it, we can go into that. It's kind of difficult with the code. So he says he would love to put it in. It's something that he would really like to put in, also because they have so many endurance stuff. But with the code that they have at the moment is complicated. It's quite complex. Don't hold your breath until they even start working on it. And it's even more of a pity because they're going to have Le Mans in 3 historic versions.
Yep.
And that would be even nicer. So another thing that he said, let's go part by part, is that they don't expect there's going to be a lot of work on the physics. The 1.7 will be concentrated around special states of the tires, like graining and similar. But they don't expect to discover anything in the code, either a bug or something that was not implemented until now, to expand the physics even further. The physics, I think, in Automobilista 2, especially now that they even have thermodynamics and whatever, are quite advanced. What they are going to be concentrated on is publishing content. I already said Le Mans is in historic versions is one of the things that is going to be coming in some future, like the horizon of these changes is about 2 years, kinda. Another thing that is coming for sure is gonna be what they call US stock cars in 3 different epochs. So they're gonna have NASCAR in I would have to look it up. Give me a sec. So they're gonna have NASCAR 23. Oh yeah, they're gonna have NASCAR 1980, 1992, and 2023.
I will race you in the 1980s NASCARs, Cody.
Yeah, okay, so that's Gen 3. I will beat you because I have not found a European who properly knows how to set up a
I was going to say, I know, I
racing
don't
stock
care.
car.
I know, I don't care. I'm going to have fun.
And one thing that makes me especially happy, because it's one of my pet peeves that I've said almost every time I talked about Automobilista 2, stadium super trucks are in the making at last. I love those.
To be totally fair, they have the right handling model for it.
Yeah,
exactly. And driving those on VR, I'm gonna go bonkers. I'm gonna be crap at it, as I'm crap at racing anything else, but I'm gonna go bonkers anyway.
Question: I don't know if this was asked. Very good. With the stadium super trucks, they have a habit of cutting corners. Are they way too early along to say how they're going to address that?
They are too early because I think one of the things that he said is the stadium super trucks are not there because they had long conversations with the license holders, and they hoped to be able to have licensed stadium super trucks in there. But these conversations seemingly have taken years and seemingly are going nowhere. So he's deciding that he's going to do what most other companies do. They're not calling that the official name. They are just putting the cars in there the way that they are and the way that they behave. And that's it. And remember that Automobilista 1 already had stadium super trucks. So it's not as if they don't know how to use them in tracks. And in Automobilista 1, you could decide that any of the tracks that were there were now a stadium super truck track. So you could use them in Spa, for example, which would be crazy, but whatever. So do
you know what? Lacombe would be so much easier in a stadium super truck. You just straight line it.
Yeah. So I don't know what they're gonna do with track limits, but I would expect that they're gonna be allowing you to use them the same way that it did in Automobilista.
Imagine jumping over the chase in Bathurst.
Yes.
Fly like 30 feet in the air.
No, you don't jump over it. You still have to take the track, but you cut it as close to the tyre wall on the left-hand side, and you cut across the grass and just skim the wall on the right-hand side.
Oh, no. I'm thinking like doing the iRacing GIF where they fly over the tire barrier.
It's perfect. I have no notes.
And
full speed.
Well, you won't be able to decide where the ramps are, at least if they do it like in Automobilista 1. In Automobilista 1, the ramps were at very specific places. And another thing that he said that they of course are gonna have in there is Spec 2026 open wheelers, like Formula open wheelers, like the ones so that's something that they're gonna publish at some point. The same that they've done with the other ones. And a very important thing that he said is and I quoted on the news, I quoted him specifically, and I do it here also. We're not planning to call it a wrap anytime soon because they are financially comfortable. So Reza is in a good place.
Good news.
Automobilista 2 is going to be existing for at least 2 years, and it sounds even longer. They are in conversations with different license holders, but he did not want to talk about any of those, which I very much understand. So there's going to be a lot of content coming out. Some tracks. One thing that he said is he does not expect, for example, to publish Istanbul anytime soon, which is a pity. I like that track, but hey, I understand. So yeah, that's the future in the next 2 years of Automobilista 2. I think it looks good.
You've just made me think of doing 1950s Formula 1 cars at Istanbul now.
Not with Automobilista 2, but yeah. Another thing that he clearly said is thanks to low fuel motorsports and the immense amount of drivers doing multiplayer, they have been able to collect a lot of data and therefore are pinpointing issues, bugs and other issues in the sim that they are able to solve now that they have more data and they can see they can find out where those come from. So they are working hand in hand with the low fuel motorsport people. At least that's what it did sound like in the forum.
Hey Kunos, this is how you work with your community.
Yeah
True.
Learn lessons. Do the thing. You could be so much better if you bloody well listen to your community. Anyway, yeah.
And by the way, you were talking about the Kunos Discord server. I've been there from day one, from the moment that they opened it. I still don't have seen any communication, any conversation of somebody from Kunos with the people that are in the Discord. You get official information, you get announcements, but at least maybe they are in there with other names, but none of the developers are there. Nobody officially from Kunos is having a conversation with the people there. There's a lot of questions by the people about Assetto Corsa Evo, and I don't see many answers from Kunos.
Nope. But again, this is one of the things that was a big kick up the backside for MSG and rFactor 2 was when MSG bought them out, or I think it was beforehand. Anyway, they had the rFactor 2 Discord, and you would get the developers would be jumping in and answering questions and things like that. Communication is so key, and it gives you so much easy goodwill with your community, and makes people so much more likely to stick with your product, not out of spite, but because they want to play your product.
Or as Terry Pratchett said about one of the movies based on his books, the community is gonna love it. They're gonna tear it down to pieces and point everything that you did wrong.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, that's like a direct message to Kunos. Please, bloody start listening to your community. They know stuff you don't. Yeah, I do think that is just about it, though, isn't it?
I would say
that's all I got. I want to go back to driving before my friends get here.
So one thing that I have, we have the question of the month, and my question of the month is, what sim racing content do you watch besides ours, of course? So, Ike.
I mean, I watch Fail Race. No, I try and keep on top of the majority of stuff, especially the more critical videos. Again, from like Game Muscle, Dave Cam, Lawrence, obviously.
Okay, say just one, because we want also the viewers on YouTube to write in the comments what they watch besides us, their main channel, of course.
Yes, of course, we're their main channel. Bruffy1322. He's done. He has been.
Yes.
He has been getting into iRacing, and I love it. He also does real life cars. Go on.
I'm a diehard. I'm a day one Bruffy supporter. I love that man.
Outside of him being a northerner, he's great.
There you go. Yeah, no, one of the things that actually got me into like the concept of multi-class racing was his multi-class endurance championship in GTA 5.
So good. So good.
Honestly, some of the best racing I've seen on YouTube. Yep. But yeah, no, it's so yeah, Bruffy's a great choice. Holy cow. Yeah, I love Bruffy. I have subtly like referenced Bruffy's Choking Hazard podcast here and there on this with it. Like I just like try to see what I can get away with. So if you go back and watch especially some of our like very early episodes, you'll see some parallels.
I was going to say I don't watch Choking Hazard because very specifically because I can only take so much Northern.
Okay. Okay, interesting. Well, you're missing out on NOS and RDT. Those guys are fun.
I know. I'm aware. I've watched a couple of bits, but yeah.
Okay. But yeah, anyways, as for me, I do watch a lot of Lawrence de Sosa these days. One of the guys who got me into it was, of course, Jimmy Broadbent. So I got to go with those guys.
All right, my pick would be Boosted Media. They spend a lot of time testing things and so on, and I'm a sucker for the Aussie dialect. Yep. So I always like to hear that. My time in Australia, which was short, only 1.5 months, was great, and the people in Australia are fantastic. At least my experience, I didn't have one bad experience there in 1 month and a half, so that was fantastic. And I like while I think that they put way when they review things on things that don't interest me, then I can skip that. But I like the reviews of stuff, and it's something that I always like to watch, even sometimes for reference what I should be looking for in something that I'm testing. So Boosted Media would be mine. And of course, to anybody watching this on YouTube, go down the comments and tell us what was my question again? Damn, I lost it because what sim racing content do you watch beside ours, of course?
It's been a very distracted podcast, but I think we got through it.
Well,
speaking of distracting,
our podcasts are always like that. Yes.
Oh, wait, is that a round wheel?
It is a round wheel.
Cube Controls round wheel.
It is a Cube Controls round wheel.
He said that
That's
he got it.
I have been snowboarding. Thank you very much.
No, but he said it in the last podcast that if they ever bring it in something in some better material, he's selling that one and buying that in.
That's so
good
cool.
material.
Yeah, it's suede, so I have to wear gloves.
Exactly.
But
isn't it a good job?
It does feel really good.
Isn't it a good job that you got some Traction branded gloves?
Yes, thank you for giving them to me. I appreciate that. I do very much appreciate it, especially since it has become necessary.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't see it, but I have the saw belt seat as well. It is as comfortable as I remembered it being.
We are going to be getting very distracted again for just a second. So So my race team got ourselves some racing gloves from IMB. Batch order, really, really nice. Designed it with external stitching because I am a snob like that, and I refuse point blank to wear internally stitched gloves because they suck. So they sent out their initial order, and mine came, and they're internally stitched.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Oops.
So I explained to the IMB guys, who were very, very, very apologetic and very helpful with getting it sorted. Said, we'll get you sent out another pair. We'll make sure that they're externally stitched. Don't worry about that. And so they took a picture of them in their factory, and then they sent me out a replacement set.
Internally
stitched. One.
As I say, they took a picture, and I messaged them, like before they'd even posted them out to me. I said, "Is that internally stitched?" And he was like, "Yes." Like, I don't want internally stitched gloves. That's not what I want. So yeah, you've got the only decent set of gloves that I've ever had.
Oh no!
So you're also becoming an example of what goes wrong in a company like Cody has, right?
Yep.
Well, okay. These are internally stitched.
Yeah, but they're more comfortable. They're made of a lighter material.
Oh, okay.
Like they're made of a material that's thin enough that it's not a problem. They're the F3 gloves, aren't they? Whereas, give me a second. Yes.
Big day if you got a thing for hands.
This podcast has become glove porn.
I won't do it all out, but you can see how big the seams are on the inside. Yeah, like they've done as much as they possibly can to remove the seams, but they're still there. And obviously, the conversation that we were having when we were driving the Assetto wheels was, I put a lot of pressure just here, where there's a seam.
Oh yeah, I see.
And obviously, you try and you as soon as you reach away from that, you're on this seam. Yeah. And you try and grip and move about, and you've got seams that are just itching on it. Anyway, right, yeah. But yeah, speaking of gloves.
Anyways, that's probably about all we have time for today.
Exactly.
Serto, you want to play us out?
So, if you aren't yet, subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Like and comment so that the almighty algorithm knows that it's worth watching us. And until next time, save fuel, collect pickup, and we'll see each other at the podium.
Or in our Discord.
Bye. Bye.
Or on Discord.